I wish I was smart enough to remember which of my past videos where I was talking about wishing upon a star for a new serious chapter. The goofy silliness is all good and fun, but I need some drama in my diet too. And we finally got it after 73 chapters since the last one with Shizuka. Long before I, or any of the other 100 Girlfriends content creators, were covering the series. We almost had a series chapter with the floating island duology, but that turned out to be a big ol' nothing burger at the end of it. But it seems like Nakamura finally heard our prayers and has blessed us with a series chapter after so long. And it's with Nano of all characters. I can't wait to check this out.
Emotional damage!
I'm fine. I'm fine. Actually, I'm not fine. How can you do this to us, Nakamura? All we wanted out of a serious Nano chapter was to finally see her parents. But no, you just had to go and make us suffer. I think the only way to get over what happened here is to go over it panel by panel and talk everything out. Oh god, I'm talking like my therapist now. Okay, I'm Moonlight150, and this is my therapeutic review of the latest 100 Girlfriends chapter, Chapter 208, The World of My Memories. Be sure to support the Scanlation team that brings us these chapters, as I'm sure they suffered through this chapter just like the rest of us did, if not more as they worked on it. And even though he hurt us, be sure to support the official release of the series to support the author, as it's available in your region. Now let's tackle this pain together. The chapter opens to Nano in her home reminiscing through her photo album of time spent with Rentaro and the rest of the family. But hold on just a second, Nakamura. Where is this date? Instead of the pain and suffering we just got with this chapter, where's this? It has like all my favorites. I mean, Chiyo is there too, but it's mostly all my favorites. And it's recent too, Hasuwa is there as well. This is gonna come back to bite me in any kind of follow-up on the Days Past theory whenever I do a part 2. And before you ask, no, I'm not planning on doing that anytime soon. It's only been 30 chapters since the last one. I need like another 100 chapters to go by or any kind of actual showing of time passage before I tackle that again. But as Nano relishes her precious memories, she hears an ominous sound coming from behind her, as another version of her suddenly materializes in her room, startling her. I mean, yeah, someone just appearing in your room wearing your face would be startling.
Syncing between two worlds, initiating.
But she explains to Nano that she is also Nano from an alternate reality. A reality that seems to be about 20 years ahead of our own in terms of technological advancements. And this version of Nano... Okay, we need a new name for her to not be confusing. How about Nano 2? No, wait, that's spoilers for the light novel. Okay, how about Nano Prime? Simple, but it works. One may even call it efficient. Nano Prime explains how she's been jumping from alternate reality to alternate reality, seeking other worlds with similar advancements in technology. But to her disappointment, it seems no other reality, including our own that she has encountered so far, has not been anywhere near her own in terms of efficiency and scientific advancements, labeling them as inefficient. I mean, she's not wrong. So in order to help these universes become more efficient, she'll be forcefully making other realities similar to her own, by using the Nano of that universe as its focal point, or axis as she calls it. So basically she is rewriting the universe where everyone is affected but the Nano themselves to help them become more efficient and become more like Nano Prime herself, by removing all distractions and forcing her to follow down the same road that she did. And we see the effects already begin to take place as Nano's photos start to fade away, as they have now never happened in that universe. As Nano Prime begins to disappear, she says it will take 2 days for the synchronization to take full effect, and then her world will reflect Nano Prime's world at the end of it. A world where she can progress without the needless connection with other humans. She also explains how her technology doesn't allow her to revisit a world twice, so she will not be encountering her again until our Nano develops the same technology to jump between dimensions, and that she hopes when they meet again, they can share and exchange technological and scientific advancements. Okay, there's a lot to unpack here. First off, we got bad timeline Nano Prime here, who never met Rentaro or anyone else to make any worthwhile human connections to ground her, and her need for efficiency led to bigger and better scientific breakthroughs. But when she gets the idea to explore the multiverse in search of other scientific advancements, she finds nothing like her own homeworld. You know what that means, Nano Prime? You are the anomaly! That means all other Nanos found a Rentaro or a Shizuka or someone else to show them the meaning of life and have a good time with others. But you were so disgruntled with the lack of efficiency in other timelines that you are taking it upon yourself to forcefully change other universes against those Nanos' wishes. Oh, this is getting under my skin. Let's move on. But as the night ends, we see the sync begin to go up, reaching 3% that night. The next morning, because I guess this kind of situation doesn't classify as an emergency to call your boyfriend, or anyone else for that matter, we see Nano walking to meet up with everyone to walk to school like they always do, where she comes upon the group of Shizuka, Matsuri, Kurumi, Aira, Saki, Kishka, and Mimimi. And god, this whole scene is just a punch to the gut when you break down every aspect. So let's just do that. Let's start with the immediate. As Nano Prime explained, she has erased every connection that our Nano has made. But that doesn't mean she didn't exist like It's a Wonderful Life or anything like that. She existed, Rentaro just never zinged with her, and she never joined the family. Very evident from how Shizuka talks to her, by calling her AI-san, but also the fact that her name, AI-san, isn't in Shizuka's phone to pronounce it. So she just sounded it out with other words instead. Though this seems to be a slight contradiction to what happened all the way back in Chapter 4, where Rentaro said he added their classmates' names to her word bank. And as Nano was their classmate, at least her name should have been in the word bank. I don't know if this is an oversight by Nakamura, or just a detail they are glossing over to really drive home the disconnect Nano is now experiencing with Shizuka, having to sound out Nano's name. Possibly assuming people would have forgotten this small detail from over 200 chapters ago. But I remembered Nakamura. Nano Prime hasn't wiped my memory yet. Or we just swipe this under the rug and say Rentaro in this version of the universe never added every classmate's name to her phone. But let's go another level deeper in this image. Matsuri then asks Shizuka if she knows the stranger who is approaching their group and telling them good morning, only for Shizuka to drive the nail through saying she is a classmate, but they have never spoken to one another before, now making it very real to Nano what Nano Prime has done. Now onto the final level of this image, the selection of girlfriends themselves. This wasn't Nakamura or Nozawa just randomly grabbing an assortment of girlfriends out of a hat for this scene. These were handpicked for various reasons. Shizuka obviously for her long-running relationship with Nano, but that's the easy one. Notice how we don't have any other girlfriend here from Class 1-4. No Rentaro, no Hakari, no Karane, or Meme to vouch for this random woman except for Shizuka herself. Everyone else here is younger or older, being in a different grade, or in Himika's case, a different class. So they don't have the luxury of just knowing someone from your class. To them, a complete and total stranger just walked up to them and said good morning. Then we have Kishka, Aira, and Saki, some of the oldest in the family. Ones who would be protective of the smaller and younger members. Granted, we all know Saki is a pushover and would be useless in an encounter of any sorts, but she at least likes to give off the vibe of being a tough person, and she does actually try to care for the people younger than her. So because of this, the older girlfriends who would be ready to tackle some kind of potential threat have this protective glare about them from being on high alert, worrying about this stranger and the safety of the younger and smaller girlfriends like Matsuri and Shizuka. Himika is also different here as she's not some potential fighter, but the fact that she isn't enjoying the abnormality of a stranger talking to them, and is more just confused and kind of disapproving of what this stranger is doing. This is not the kind of abnormal that she likes. Kurumi is kind of the only one I haven't fully figured out why her specifically is in this group. Maybe she's just there to increase the number of younger girlfriends like Matsuri, giving the older ones a sense of this group of younger girlfriends that may need protecting. Then why not have Chiyo here? She's smaller. So that's why I think Kurumi being here has a bigger purpose, but I haven't come up with anything. Then last but certainly not least, we have Mimimi, who has been looming in the background during this whole breakdown of mine. But as a final blow after Shizuka says this is their first time talking, Mimimi is all too familiar with Nano, as we can establish Nano's past is still intact all the way to zinging with Rentaro, meaning everything that happened in middle school with the beauty pageant is still relevant. But because Nano Prime erased meeting Rentaro and then eventually reconciling with Mimimi, she is still bitter as the day we met Mimimi. Hell, she might even be more bitter by now. Now fully realizing the gravity of the situation, Nano takes off from the group, making them all wonder what just happened. We see the sync has reached 37% as she recalls the morning encounter she just had. But class is about to begin. I guess this confirms the family doesn't hang out on the school rooftop in the morning, only during lunch and after school. But even after all that has happened, she decides to go to class. Man, I don't think I would have left my bed if this happened to me. We're gonna take a quick break from all the heavy drama for me to rant about something different here for a moment. Holy shit, we actually see these characters in a classroom. It's been so long. I almost brought up in multiple videos how we almost never see these characters do anything actually school related, except just chill on the rooftop. Can't believe it took a serious chapter for us to see them in school again. Okay, took your deep breath? Let's keep going. Nano sees the family members of her class all gathered and having a good time chatting, until Rentaro and Nano make eye contact, truly cementing what has happened, as Rentaro doesn't react in any kind of way. And we see the pain in Nano's eyes from this. Like, oh my god, this image. She decides to quickly take a seat to not look at them anymore. And also, look at this. Not only do we see these characters in class, but we also get to see Ms. Natty teaching. This chapter is full of surprises. But as class rolls on, the gravity of the situation starts to really hit her. She has no friends, the man she loves doesn't recognize her, She's all alone, and unlike before, she doesn't want to be. She begins to break down crying and goes from distracting herself by taking notes to just scribbling on her paper, until Shizuka taps her on her elbow and asks if she's okay. I do like this little detail though, since Shizuka doesn't talk and she can't use her phone since that thing is pretty much on speaker at all times. She ends up writing this little paper note. And this is the final straw that fully breaks Nano. Shizuka's kind nature to a complete stranger is just too much, and she ends up bolting out of the classroom. Then probably comes the worst part of the whole chapter. As she runs away, she thinks to herself how she deserves this, because of how she used to be in the past, disregarding others and their feelings and finding connections with others meaningless. That this is her comeuppance, that she doesn't deserve the happiness she found with Rentaro and the family because of the way she was. But Rentaro catches up to her and says how he has noticed how different she has been acting, and that he can't explain why, but he feels deep down that something is wrong. But once he calls her AI-san instead of Nano, she breaks yet again, and forces herself away, not being able to withstand the pain of the love of her life, not knowing who she is, and walks away giving off her old catchphrase of calling conversing with other humans a waste of time, basically admitting defeat and that Nano Prime has won and accepts her new fate. But it seems not all is lost in the rewriting of the universe, as this familiar scene strikes a deja vu chord with Rentaro, and that's all our boy needs to lock the in. Look at that face. I don't think we have seen him this serious in quite some time. Man is ready to tear apart the multiverse now. And that is unfortunately where we end things on this cliffhanger. And it's break week just to add insult to injury. And we know Nakamura is getting a kick out of this, as this was his tweet not long before the chapter was posted. What a sick man. A few final thoughts before I log off and jump into my cryo tube to speed up time to get past break week. The manga does a good job of reflecting and mimicking past Nano-focused chapters, like the one with Nano walking away triggering Rentaro's deja vu, but one that wasn't pointed out is the Nano crying panel, and how it closely resembles her being flustered in her intro chapter as she came to the realization that Rentaro likes her. Just great writing and illustration usage all around. But that's all the praise I'll give this chapter because everything else is
emotional damage.
Also, I'm curious to find out if this is a 2-part arc or a 3-part arc. With this chapter ending at 41% synchronization, I could see more things unravel, and in the next chapter it hits 100, and then the following chapter we have to set everything back. Or it will never reach 100%, and Rentaro and Nano will stop it before it does. Only thing we can do is wait. So since it's break week, I'm going to try to get the next chapter of I Can't Choose a Childhood Friend out during this time. Hope Earl doesn't mind the overtime doing both of these videos back to back.
No.
I've been Moonlight150, and thank you all for tuning in as we almost reached 2,000 subscribers. I couldn't have done it without all of your help. And if you're new here, why not join in on the fun by leaving a like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't yet already. And I will see you all in the next video.